My name is Leo, and I had just moved into a new apartment building. It was tall and old, with creaky floors and pipes that groaned like a tired old man. But the rent was cheap, and my new apartment on the 5th floor had a great view of the city. I spent the first day unpacking boxes. I put my books on the shelf. I put my clothes in the closet. The place was finally starting to feel like home. But there was one thing about the building that was really weird. It was the elevator. And it had a secret that I was about to discover. A chilling, terrifying secret that would make my blood run cold. The building was called the Grandview Apartments, but it wasn't very grand. The wallpaper in the lobby was peeling off in long yellow strips, and the carpet had weird, dark stains on it. Still, I was excited. My very own place. I lugged my last box of comic books toward the elevator. It was one of those old-fashioned ones, with a metal gate you had to pull shut yourself. Inside, it smelled like dust and something else. Something like old perfume. I pressed the button for the 5th floor, and the elevator lurched upwards, rattling and shaking like it was about to fall apart. It was a slow, spooky ride to my new home. As I unpacked, I started to notice strange things, little things, like how quiet it was. I never heard my neighbors, not even a peep. Sometimes, I'd hear a faint scratching sound coming from inside the walls, but I told myself it was just mice. It had to be mice, right? I tried to ignore the feeling that I was being watched. I kept the lights on, even during the day. I arranged my furniture so my back was never to the door. I told myself I was just being silly, that it was just the nerves of being in a new place. But deep down, a cold knot of fear was starting to form in my stomach. Moving is always tiring, but this felt different. Every box I emptied seemed to make the room feel colder, not warmer. The windows rattled even when there was no wind, and shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch and dance when I wasn't looking directly at them. I tried to make it feel like my own space. I put up my favorite posters and set up my video game console. But no matter what I did, the apartment didn't feel like mine. It felt like I was a visitor in someone else's spooky, silent world. And the creepiest part of it all was still waiting for me, just a few floors below. The elevator had buttons for all 10 floors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But the button for the 4th floor was broken, or at least I thought it was. Every time I got in, I'd press the button for my floor, the number 5. And every time the elevator would go straight from the 3rd floor to the 5th, it skipped the 4th floor completely. The light for the number 4 never lit up. The elevator never even slowed down. It was as if the 4th floor didn't exist at all. I asked the building manager about it, a grumpy old man named Mr. Withers. He just grunted and said, "Don't worry about the 4th floor." That just made me more curious. What was on the 4th floor? Why was it off limits? I started watching the elevator panel every time I rode it. I'd press the 4 just to see. Click, nothing. I'd press it again, harder this time. Click, still nothing. The elevator would just continue on its journey, ignoring my command, ignoring the button. It was like a ghost button for a ghost floor. My friends thought it was cool and spooky. "Maybe it's haunted," my friend Sarah said with a laugh. I laughed too, but I didn't really think it was funny. The mystery of the 4th floor started to creep into my thoughts, a puzzle I couldn't solve. I tried taking the stairs once. I walked down from my apartment on the 5th floor, my footsteps echoing loudly in the empty stairwell. I passed the door for my floor, number 501. I walked down another flight, and there it was, the door to the 4th floor. But it was different. There was no number on it. It was just a plain grey metal door with no handle and no keyhole. It was sealed shut. I pushed on it. It didn't budge. It was like pushing against a solid brick wall. Why would they seal the door? What secret were they trying to hide behind that strange blank door? After that, my curiosity turned into an obsession. I couldn't stop thinking about it. At night, I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what was happening one floor beneath me. Was it just an empty, unfinished floor? Or was it something else? Something worse? The building manager's warning echoed in my head. Don't worry about the 4th floor. But I couldn't help it. I had to know. I promised myself I would figure it out. That was a promise I would soon regret. A promise that would lead me to a place I should have never, ever gone. One rainy Tuesday, I was coming home from school. The sky was dark gray, and thunder rumbled in the distance. I was the only one in the elevator. As it started to go up, my eyes went to the panel, to the number 4. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was the gloomy weather. Maybe I was just feeling brave. On an impulse, I reached out and pressed the button for the 4th floor. And this time, something was different. The button sank in. A dim, flickering light glowed behind the number 4. And the elevator. It shuddered to a stop. A bell chimed softly. Ding! The doors slid open. On the 4th floor, I peeked out. The hallway looked almost exactly like mine on the 5th floor. Same ugly carpet, same peeling wallpaper. But something was wrong, very wrong. The lights were incredibly dim, casting long, spooky shadows down the hall. They flickered constantly, making the shadows jump and dance like ghostly figures. And it was silent. Not just quiet, but a heavy, thick silence that felt like it was pressing in on me from all sides. It was the kind of silence that makes the hair on your arm stand up. The air was cold and smelled dusty, like a room that hadn't been opened in 100 years. I took a hesitant step out of the elevator. My sneakers made no sound on the thick carpet. It was like I was walking on a cloud. I looked at the apartment doors. On my floor, the doors were numbered 501, 502, 503. But here, something was chillingly different. I squinted in the dim light to read the number on the nearest door. It was 444. I walked a little further down the hall to the next door. It was also numbered 444. I spun around, my heart starting to pound in my chest. Every single door, as far as I could see down the long dark hallway, had the same number. 444, 444, 444. A shiver ran down my spine. This wasn't right. This wasn't just a normal floor. Where was I? This place felt wrong. It felt like a dream, a nightmare. I wanted to go back. I wanted to be in my own apartment with the lights on bright, watching cartoons. This was a mistake, a huge mistake. I had to get out of there. Now! I spun around, ready to jump back into the safety of the elevator and press the button for my floor. I just wanted to go home. But what I saw next made my blood turn to ice. I turned back to where the elevator should have been. But it was gone. The open doors, the lit-up panel, the metal gate, all of it had vanished. In its place was just a solid, unbroken wall, the same peeling wallpaper as everywhere else. There was no seam, no outline, no hint that an elevator had ever been there. It was as if it had been swallowed up by the building itself. My escape was gone. I was trapped. I ran my hands over the wall, feeling for a button, a crack, anything. But there was nothing. Just cold, flat wallpaper. Panic began to bubble up inside me, hot and sharp. "Hello!" I called out. My voice sounded small and weak in the crushing silence. No one answered. Of course no one answered. The hallway stretched out before me, a long tunnel of flickering lights and doors marked 444. I was completely and utterly alone. Or was I? I suddenly had the terrible feeling that I wasn't. I felt like eyes were watching me from behind every one of those identical doors. I started walking, then jogging, then running down the endless hallway. But it never ended. Every door was the same. 444, 444, 444. The hallway just kept going. I tried the doorknobs. Every single one was locked tight. I pounded on a door with my fists. "Let me out! Please! Somebody help me!" My shouts were swallowed by the silence. It was like shouting into a pillow. No echo, no response. I was trapped in this bizarre, repeating nightmare. Was this a different building? A different dimension? My mind raced, trying to make sense of the impossible. I remembered Mr. Withers' warning. I should have listened. I should have never, ever pressed that button. Why didn't I just leave it alone? I finally stopped running, gasping for breath. I leaned against a door 444 of course, and slid to the floor. The silence pressed in. The lights flickered above me. I was trapped on the 4th floor, the floor that didn't exist. How long would I be here? Forever? I looked down the never-ending hallway, at the endless doors, and a single terrifying thought filled my mind. Was I the only one who had made this mistake? Or behind one of these doors, was there another kid just like me, who had been curious about the mysterious 4th floor? I pulled my knees to my chest and waited, and listened. The silence was the only answer I got.